Okay, check it. Let's talk a little bit about the inglorious side of doing this. Sometimes it just looks like things happen left, right, center without an issue or with little issues that are easily handled. And while this is a little issue that's easily handled, maybe you can tell I came to have been just wrestling with the budgetary nature of this project, trying to keep it real cheap. I began by going with a high-end or a medium, a good quality faucet that was chrome, because the mix valve and the tub faucet and this grab bar were chrome, and I thought I could make my peace with it anyway. Long story short, I couldn't, and so because I sent it back and I got a brushed nickel and everything else in here is brushed nickel. I feel brushed nickel goes a lot better with the green, but it came time to change out the faceplate and the faucet for the old chrome. It's all scoured and, you know, shitty to begin with, so I just got a beauty pack or whatever. It's a Peerless model from Delta, and it comes with your, and it's so funny how they break this out, but it comes with your shower head and a station, the neck. You get your shower head itself, and that is all exchanged by turning the back of the shower head off the neck. Then you can just turn the neck out of the drop ear that's in the wall, and the little station cover thing comes with it, and you can turn in anything else you like. The faucet for the tub is even easier. It's just sort of a cram-on style. This is relatively contemporary. This is maybe only 20 years old, or maybe 30, maybe not. It's plastic, vacuum metallized. But you loosen the set screw and then you just pull it off of a copper stub that sticks out of the wall, and you stick the new one on and put a set screw in there to tighten it. I believe there's an O-ring in there that just friction fits over the copper stub, so you know the new one is brushed nickel. This is actually metal, which is or isn't an upgrade, we'll see, and obviously the new cover there. The sticking point was in the rough-in valve. You get, when you get a kit like that, you get the core to the mixing valve, which is where you mix hot and cold with the shower controls. You turn water on and off as well. You get the plastic core that has O-rings and is made of plastic, and the rough-in valve is in the wall, and that's been soldered to the water supply. Hot and cold, down and out to the tub, up to the shower. And that's brass. It looks like this, or they used to. Somebody threaded in, I don't know what it came provided for with, this is how old it is. Nowadays you can get these with a PEX connection, at least at the water side, I think. And at least, you know, all sweat in, which is solder socket style on them. But this, somebody had to thread in to the valve with a fitting that was ready to sweat copper, and then they could take off and sweat the copper. Anyway, that was in here like this. This does not is not a contemporary style. It's certainly not the right style for this core. So this is how the project, you know, a punch list item like swap out the faceplate, you know, pull the old core out and put the new one in and the new covers and stuff on, is inside of an hour in and out. This is where it turns into all day, because to begin with I had to get online. This is a builder quality, which is sort of your low-end quality stuff because this is a rental unit. So when I called the Delta showroom, who has somebody at the wheel that knows what they're talking about, even though they know what they're talking about, this isn't a product level that they normally deal a lot with. So she made her best guess about what new mix valve I need, and she said, you know, you could go to our warehouse, our wholesale warehouse for like plumbers, which I went up to and got that valve, and I have yet to determine. It looks to me, and I showed them this core, and it looks to me when you take this plug out of it, obviously it'll hook right up, and they said that it would, so I don't, God, I should knock on wood, but I don't need to spend any more time here. But I'm assuming that it will fit this new core. So I'm gonna hedge a bet without tearing it open and proving that, which is a bad practice. I just don't like to work that way sometimes, I guess. I snuck the tub faucet neck out of the old one. Everything's from the center line here, the center line of this main barrel, which is nice. It was cast, so you get a parting line down the center line, which I measured off the old one, horizontal center line to the end of this where I cut. I measured from the center line over to this cut and over to this cut on the pipe there, and I measured down. I did the math to accommodate the fittings and everything else, and so now I'm prepared. These 2 stubs are soldered in, so I took this valve away and I soldered all these items onto it. I'll be able to reach down in the wall and thread that tub spout out, and then this will be hanging out in space. And the math I did here for the top for this coupling, when I slip him up onto what's left coming down from the shower and he comes up tight, so long as he's pointing through the opening correctly, he'll be in the right place, and I'll solder him carefully there. And then he'll be hanging out in space. And then the stub ends of copper that I put on here, once I heat up the little remnant that's in this elbow and grab onto him with pliers and twist and rip him out of there, hopefully that goes kind of smooth and get him out of the elbow, and I burn off most of the solder. When I stuff this copper pipe into the elbow again with full engagement on both sides, and I do have some wiggle room. It's just a pipe hold, typical hold down right down there, but I have some wiggle room if I need it. And then this will be in place. Then come around to the front and pull the cap, install the core, install the new fascia, install everything. And on the beauty side, on the tub side, everything will be done. And then I'll have to come back. This was basically not framed. There's a stud at the end of this little donkey wall, and maybe or maybe not something over there, but just enough to return the drywall. But there was no stud in here for me to make my access panel work out on to give me something to put the piece back in. I did save it. I'll have to put a couple little ledgers in there, little cleats, and then stick him back in place and do a little complete touch-up. You can see this paint is even kind of thin here, so it won't hurt to, you can't see that with your eye, but you can see it through the camera. Interesting. And then we'll be back just 8 or 10 hours later, and all these tools, I dragged out all the wrenches to see if I could get something that would fit onto the old hex that I didn't end up finding anything. I brought everything up to solder, then I ended up taking it downstairs to solder. It's just the nature of this. I could have played it safe and just assumed that was too old to replace easily and skipped it. And that's the reason in a lot of places that are shitty that everything's like that, because in this situation I don't want to get involved there, and in that situation I don't want to get involved there, and this one and that one and this one and that one, and basically the owner never gets involved and the place is kind of a dump. So in fact, when my brain says, that might turn into a whole thing, I have a weird sort of, this is like confession time, that almost makes me want to get involved and fix it. So maybe that's why I'm as prolific as I am. Maybe that's a bad thing. But anyway, we're going to be here until we're done. And I wasn't necessarily going to showcase this whole situation, but I figured there's enough shit dragged out now. At least I'll have a video for myself to remember it by. Alright, we'll see you.